Hey guys, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to this webinar on China's lithium carbonate and recycled lithium-ion battery market review and prospect, brought to you by Mysteel Global. My name is Jeremy Wu from Mysteel. I'd like to have you take time off your busy schedules to join us today. And before we start webinar, I wanted to introduce some Mysteel data services for the field of new energy. Okay, here's is what I want to share. The first offering is Mysteel Battery Materials Weekly Report. This report is delivered to all clients in PDF format on a weekly basis, aiming to provide them with a comprehensive understanding of the Chinese new energy market. And it also enables clients to promptly inform about significant events occurring in China that have impact on supply and demand of the new energy market. Okay, here's the first one. And the second offering I want to share is our data buffet, which offers clients online data self-service. This service presents the required data in the form of charts. By saying self-service means you could choose whatever data types, data categories you're interested in to build your own data charts. This picture is example of how to use data buffet to build a lithium carbonate spot price chart. You see here. So it's really, I thought it's very convenient for you to build your own charts and help you to intuitively observe the data trends and enhancing your data analysis experience. Okay, that's what I want to share. So if you're interested in our data service, please contact with me. You can contact with me in this email address. And also to ask for, you can ask me to get help you get some report samples or the data buffet free trial. And also you can scan the QR code here to enter our mobile website or enter the Mysteel.net to find the full list of our service. Okay, that's my part. And let's start our webinar. So first, please let me introduce the speaker today. Her name is Aggie Hu, and she's senior editor in Mysteel Global with 10 years experience in English editorial, especially focusing on metals and lithium battery market. And here's one thing to know is after Aggie's sharing, we have a Q&A session, and you can click on Q&A icon at the bottom of the panel and submit your questions anytime during the webinar. Okay, so which means after Aggie's sharing, we'll find some of the questions and answer some of them. Okay, now let's over to Aggie. Welcome, Aggie.
Hi. Thanks, Jeremy. Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to have this opportunity to share my knowledge of China's lithium carbonate and recycled battery market. Before we start, here's a small announcement. Mysteel will hold the 2024 Lithium-ion Battery Industrial Conference in Changsha City, Hunan Province during December 20th and 22nd. With over 400 attendees from the entire industry chain and value chain. The conference will focus on the industry's status quo, new technologies, and market prospects that are most concerned about by the market players. And it is also a good chance to liaise with potential partners for the coming year. You can send us an email or type conference 2024 for more details about this event. Now let's begin with today's presentation. First, we will have a brief look at the lithium carbonate industry chain. The raw materials of lithium carbonate are primarily brine, spodumene, lepidolite, and recycled battery. Among them, recycled battery is recognized as the urban mine, which is an important way to realize carbon neutralization. After lithium carbonate is obtained from the raw materials, it is further fabricated into cathode active materials, as well as lithium alloys and ceramics. Among them, lithium iron phosphate and nickel manganese cobalt cathode active materials are the most significant downstream application fields of lithium carbonate. The cathode active materials will then be processed into power batteries, energy storage batteries, and electronics batteries. Let's take 2022 as an example. LFP cathode materials took up 64% of the entire cathode active material market, followed by ternary cathode materials with a share of 29%, lithium manganese oxide with a share of 4%, and lithium cobalt oxide with a share of 3%. Also in 2022, the power battery industry was occupied by LFP battery and ternary battery, with a market share of 68% and 32% respectively. The share of LMO and LCO batteries combined was roughly 0.1%. The prices of lithium carbonate were on the roller coaster in the past few years. Here are several important time points that worth attention. The prices first kicked off the uptrend in August 2020 and embarked on rapid growth in July 2021 until it peaked on November 15, 2022 at 590,000 rand per ton. Lithium carbonate prices then kept falling entering 2023 until it bottomed on April the 25th at 180,000 rand per ton. Now the prices are creating new near-term lows. This page is important as we are going to look at the short-term drivers behind the volatile lithium carbonate prices. The graph on the upper hand shows the supply and demand balance of lithium carbonate, while the one below presents the price trend of lithium carbonate in the corresponding period. Before we start analyzing the correlation between supply and demand balance and price fluctuations, let me explain how we understand the balance. First, we take the supply and demand level in January 2020 as the benchmark, which is marked as 1. Second, the demand is based on the monthly production of LFP, NMC, LCO, and LMO cathode materials. Especially, the demand does not count in H-series NMC cathode material. Third, the supply is based on the monthly domestic production, the net imports, and the smelter's inventory of lithium carbonate. Fourth, when the blue line navigates above the red line, it means the market is in short supply. And when the blue line is below the red one, then it indicates the market is oversupply. Fifth, when the supply-demand gap is correlated with the volatility of prices. The last one, the trend and rangeability of supply or demand indicates their respective growth rates. Now let's compare the supply-demand balance with lithium carbonate price fluctuations, and we can separate into 4 phases. The first phase is from July 2020 to October 2021, when lithium carbonate prices kicked off the uptrend. During this period, the supply and demand both grew slowly with a narrow supply deficit, and the prices rose slowly as well. In the second phase, from October 2021 to June 2022, the demand rose further, but the supply was restricted by ore supply shortage, leading to rapidly rising lithium carbonate prices. Then in the third phase, from June 2022 to December 2022, the prices kept rising on lingering supply shortage when the demand increased quickly and domestic production was relatively flat, despite mounting net imports. And lithium carbonate prices peaked in this period. The fourth phase ranged over January to April in 2023, when the demand shrank rapidly, but the supply reacted slowly and kept rising, weighing on the prices. So apart from supply-demand balance, the lithium carbonate inventory is also an important short-term price driver. This is because, first, the lithium carbonate prices will influence the entire industry chain. It means that on the raw material end, the lithium ore prices in China market are highly correlated with lithium carbonate. The battery black mass is also priced with payables of lithium, cobalt, and nickel salts. The pricing of cathode active materials are the combination of processing charges and metal salt prices multiplied by the payables. The battery cell prices also benchmark lithium carbonate prices, as lithium carbonate cost takes up a major part in battery cell. Generally speaking, the upstream smelters and downstream battery cell factories have a greater say in lithium salt prices. Second, the battery cell sector is highly concentrated, with the top two companies taking up over 65% of the market share, which is BYD and CATL. Third, the integration on the smelting end is less developed. In other words, many smelters still rely on outsourced raw materials. When we put these factors together, we will find that the lithium carbonate prices are more than likely to rise or fall strongly when the players across the industry build up stocks or destock at the same time. Now, before we go to the long-term demand and supply drivers, here is a more detailed chart that shows the influencing factors on both the demand and supply side. The supply of lithium carbonate generally consists of imports from Chile and Argentina salt lakes, the smelters' lithium carbonate production and inventory, as well as the smelters and miners' ore inventory. On the raw material end, we have spodumene and lepidolite from Africa and Australia, lepidolite in China's Jiangxi and Hunan provinces, spodumene in Sichuan province, as well as salt lakes in Qinghai province. The demand side is a little bit more complicated. We have the production of cathode active materials, the raw material inventory held by battery cell factories, cathode active material factories, and traders. The prosperity of power battery, energy storage, and electronics sectors also matters a lot. This map will give us the clue of long-term supply and demand drivers behind the lithium carbonate market. The first and most important long-term demand driver is the global carbon policy. Almost all major economies have rolled out their timeline for banning the sale of fuel vehicles and firmly support the steady development of new energy vehicles to reduce carbon emission. Therefore, the policy is the fundamental driver that the demand for lithium carbonate will maintain momentum in the long term, as the market is quite far away from reaching the target. It can be seen from the graph on the right that among the major economies, UK takes the lead and its penetration rate of new energy vehicles has reached almost 40% by end 2022 because it plans to ban the sale of fuel vehicles by 2030 and ban the sale of hybrid plug-in electric vehicles by 2035. Which is relatively aggressive compared with other countries. China's penetration rate also grows fast and has reached 30% in 2022. China will carry out the pilot demonstration of banning fuel vehicle sale in Hainan province first by 2030. Other countries most set their deadline between 2030 and 2040. Therefore, it is highly anticipated that the sale of new energy vehicles will keep growing until the penetration rate reaches the targeted level in the next 10 to 20 years. So will the demand for lithium carbonate. But the development of new technologies can be a variable. The next demand driver is the China market. China is now the world's largest new energy vehicle market. In 2022, China's new energy vehicle market took up 64% of the world's total, followed by Europe with a share of 22%. China's monthly penetration rate has hit 35% by the middle of 2023 and is still growing rapidly. China's new energy vehicle market first gained momentum from the policy end when the government rolled out lucrative subsidies towards individuals. In addition, the individuals could get a free vehicle plate if they purchase new energy vehicles. This policy is especially effective in large cities like Beijing and Shanghai because lottery is the only way to get a fuel vehicle plate, which may take years. With the popularity of new energy vehicles, these stimulus policies are gradually phasing out. But the individual's consumption concept has also evolved. The new energy vehicles win the trust of consumers in terms of safety, expanding range, fast charging, fancy and intelligent design, among others. The third most important demand driver is the technology development of batteries and cathode active materials, and we have observed some trends in this sector. In the foreseeable future, lithium-ion batteries are still the mainstream, with sodium batteries being the supplementary. NMC battery is still mostly applied to high-end vehicles. The overseas market will focus on high-nickel NMC battery, while the China market will still favor 5 and 6 series NMC batteries. It takes some time before solid-state battery realizes extensive commercial application, and the market share of NMC batteries will still lag behind that of LFP batteries. At present, the energy density of lithium iron phosphate battery has reached its upper limit. The development of lithium manganese iron phosphate battery is more than likely to accelerate in 2024, that is the next year. On the supply side, the first driver comes from the development of smelters that integrate mining and smelting capacities, which are with lower cost. Generally speaking, integrated smelters production is more consistent compared with those rely on outsourced raw materials, because the integrated smelters usually sign long-term contracts with downstream players on rigid demand, and their cost is also relatively stable. In the second half of 2023, the integrated smelters put 350,000 tons per year mining capacity into production. Considering the production ramp-up period, the supply pressure will be considerable in the first half of 2024. On the cost side, the lithium carbonate cost varies with different raw materials, as is shown in the graph. Generally, the weighted average smelting cost of new capacities is around 100,000 yuan per ton. The second demand driver is the capacity and cost of smelters that rely on outsourced raw materials. According to our statistics, China's lithium carbonate smelting capacity totaled 675,700 tons as of the end of 2022, and is expected to hit 820,000 tons by end 2023. Among them, around 50% of the capacities rely on outsourced raw materials. These capacities are more sensitive to lithium carbonate price fluctuations. They need to carefully watch both the current lithium ore costs as well as forward lithium carbonate prices. When lithium carbonate prices move between 170,000 and 180,000 yuan per ton at present, the smelters using outsourced lithium ore have already suffered losses. But these losses are expected to narrow with the cost going down and lithium carbonate prices rebounding in the future. Among the 820,000 tons lithium carbonate smelting capacities, 10% use battery scrap as the raw material, and the fabrication cost is 30,000 to 40,000 yuan per ton lithium carbonate equivalent. The availability of battery scrap is subject to lithium carbonate prices to some extent. In the next session, we will quickly go through the production and selling situation across the lithium carbonate industry chain in the first 9 months of 2023. The October data shall come out in these 2 days. In the first 9 months, China produced 6.31 million new energy vehicles, an increase of 33.9% from last year. The sales volume was 6.28 million units, rising 37.7% from last year. And in September alone, the sales growth rate outpaced the production, and the sales volume was also greater than the production. As a result, the new energy vehicles inventory dropped to 25,000 units in the month, the greatest drop in 2023. The production of power batteries was the next page. The production of power batteries was 451.5 gigawatt hour over January and September, an increase of 35.5% from last year. The sales volume, on the other hand, was 425 gigawatt-hour in the same period, an increase of 15.7% from last year. In detail, the production and sales volume of LFP power battery reached 318.5 gigawatt-hour and 258.7 gigawatt-hour respectively, an increase of 45% and 27% year-on-year, and its market share has grown to 58.7%. The inventory of both LFP and ternary power batteries held by battery cell factories rose constantly entering 2023. After the rapid growth in the fourth quarter of 2022. The production of ternary cathode materials. This is about the production of cathode active materials. The production stood at 426,000 tons in the first 9 months of 2023, rising 12% from 2022. The effective capacity was 1.06 million tons by 2022. In 2023, with downstream orders falling short of expectations, the operating rates of ternary cathode material capacities pulled back and averaged only 50.8 in September. The production of LFP material was 1.05 million tons over January to September, rising 52.3% from last year. The effective capacity was 2.38 million tons. The production expansion of LFP materials is relatively quickly, as the technology threshold is not that high. Similar to ternary cathode materials, the operating rates of LFP material capacities have been falling as well in 2023 and averaged 51.1% in September. Here is the production of lithium carbonate. In the first 9 months of 2023, the production totaled 320,000 tons, an increase of 41.4% from 2022. Apart from that, domestic net imports of lithium carbonate were 122,200 tons in the same period, rising 41.8% year-on-year. Based on our own database, the combined lithium carbonate and lithium hydroxide inventory held by lithium smelters in Qinghai province was 6,000 tons. In addition, there were 4,000 tons held by smelters in Sichuan and 3,000 tons in Jiangxi province. Taken together, China's smelters held a total 13,000 tons of lithium carbonate and lithium hydroxide inventory. Lastly, we will give a short-term forecast on lithium carbonate prices. There have been and will be a number of overseas lithium ore, lithium carbonate, and lithium hydroxide projects coming on stream in Zimbabwe, Argentina, and Australia in 2023, as well as the first half of 2024. Mysteel believes that lithium carbonate prices will keep falling in the rest of 2023 and averaged 180,000 yuan per ton in the last month of this year. Mainly because the end market, generally the new energy vehicle market, has passed its traditional peak and kicked off the off-season. Okay, it is the end of the first part. In the second part, we will talk about the power battery recycling market. The sources of power battery scrap are primarily production waste and retired power battery from new energy vehicles. The production waste consists of defective battery and leftover materials. The leftovers are recycled and go back to the production process directly, while most defective batteries are repurposed. This part of sources will grow with the expansion of power battery capacities. The other part of scrap source is retired power battery from new energy vehicles. When the power batteries are retired, the recyclers will first assess the health situation of the batteries. Some power batteries will be fixed and repurposed in the energy storage e-bike sectors. Most of these batteries are LFP power batteries with longer cycle life and better safety. But finally, these batteries are retired again and will be dismantled and recycled. Some power batteries are scrapped immediately and will be processed into black mass with higher recycling value, and the hydrometallurgical plants will recover valued elements like cobalt, nickel, and lithium carbonate from black mass. Theoretically, pyrometallurgy is also an effective element recycling route available on the market apart from hydrometallurgy. But in China, almost all of the recycling capacities adopt the hydrometallurgy route. We can say the percentage may be 100. Then how to scrap an electric vehicle? There are quite a number of places to scrap an electric vehicle, like the 4S stores, second-hand vehicle dealers. The owners of the retired vehicle usually need certain proofs to cancel their vehicle's registration with the administration. Therefore, this step is relatively well regulated. The problem haunting the recycling market at present is who can obtain the batteries dismantled from the retired vehicles. China introduced the first batch of whitelist battery recyclers in 2018 with the purpose of regulating the recycling market, as improper treatment of battery scrap could seriously pollute the environment. However, compliance usually accompanies higher costs. In the case of lower technology threshold of battery dismantling and lucrative profits, a number of illegitimate workshops with simple equipment emerged. These workshops are able to raise their bids for retired batteries by simplifying the dismantling process, which makes them much more competitive with whitelist recyclers. China has therefore introduced a number of methods to better regulate the market, like approving more whitelist recyclers and coding every power battery to facilitate life cycle checking. The next question is, how big is China's recycling market? China's new energy vehicle market embarked on drastic growth since 2020, before which the government launched multiple stimulus packages to boost the consumption and to support the car makers. Generally speaking, the service life of power batteries is 6 to 8 years. When China's new energy vehicle market starts to grow rapidly in 2020, the retirement wave shall begin in 2026, the earliest. This is why the new recycling projects come on stream constantly, though the scrap market is in overcapacity and hard to make money at the current stage. Because these players need to get prepared and better position themselves in the recycling market before the scrap market welcomes its first wave. However, even though the retirement wave of new energy vehicles is about to begin, the scrap market will remain in short supply of raw materials for quite some time. According to our preliminary survey, the installed and new recycling capacities have way surpassed 2.5 million tons on the conservative estimation. However, the annual recycling volume of battery scrap is roughly 0.5 million tons, which is far fewer than the capacities. Therefore, even though the battery retirement wave shall begin in 3 years, the earliest, there is still a longer way to go before the scrap market reaches its supply-demand balance and achieves market order. And during our communication and investigation with the recyclers, due to the problem of overcapacity, some companies are considering building recycling facilities overseas to avoid the fierce competition in the China market. If you have any interest in this topic, you can send us an email for more details. Okay, in this sector, we will discuss the pricing scheme of black mass, which is mainly the NMC black mass. For NMC black mass, the content of lithium is usually between 3 to 6.5%, while the content of nickel is much higher at 12 to 25%, based on different battery series. The content of cobalt is between 6 to 8%. Therefore, when battery-grade lithium carbonate prices were below 100,000 yuan per ton before the middle of 2021, the pricing of NMC black mass did not take into account the value of lithium. The value of NMC black mass was actually based on the payable rates of nickel and cobalt metals only. Then the situation changed greatly. In 2022, lithium carbonate prices skyrocketed due to short supply of lithium ore and rapidly growing end market. Therefore, the prices of lithium carbonate, battery-grade lithium carbonate, touched a high of nearly 600,000 yuan per ton in November 2022. Under this circumstance, the NMC black mass payables would exceed 100% sometimes in order to cover the value of lithium. Then, in order to better gauge the value of NMC black mass, there existed a new pricing method by end 2022, that is, using the payables of nickel sulfate, cobalt sulfate, as well as lithium carbonate to price NMC black mass. This method not only counts in the value of lithium, but also benchmarks the prices of metal salts rather than metals themselves. There are mainly two reasons for this evolvement. First, the metal prices of nickel and cobalt are easily influenced by the overseas market, which could not reflect the supply-demand dynamics in China precisely. And second, the prices of metal salts could better reflect the supply-demand dynamics of the battery market alone, as the application fields are more concentrated. Lastly, we will go through the battery scrap market in the first 9 months of this year. The prices of LFP black mass perfectly copied the movement of lithium carbonate and registered its annual low in April at 4,400 yuan per metric ton unit. The payables of NMC black mass followed the trend of lithium carbonate prices in the first half of 2023, but were rather resilient in the second half. This is because the sellers deliberately held the payables at a high level, but the NMC black mass payables were adopted for less than a year, and its movement features shall be further observed. Mysteel also tracks the dismantling cost of battery scrap in the market. It measures the full cost from battery dismantling to metal compound extraction. It consists of battery scrap prices, labor, auxiliary material prices, among others. The picture here shows the recycling cost of NMC black mass, of NMC battery. In the first 9 months of 2023, a total of 391,000 tons of power batteries were recycled, rising 71.6% from last year. The recycling volume includes 191,000 tons of LFP batteries, 188,000 tons of NMC batteries, and 12,000 tons of LCO batteries. In the same period, a total of roughly 15,000 tons of cobalt metal and 36,000 tons of nickel metal were recovered from the battery scrap. Okay, this is the end of my presentation today. Thank you all for spending the time with us. Now over to Jeremy.
Hey, thank you, Aggie. Okay, so now is our Q&A session. I will ask you some questions recorded from our audience. Okay, so the first question is, do you report payables of RFP black mass? Okay, Aggie, over to you.
Okay, I think this is a good question. It is more popular to price LFP black mass with the unit price of lithium content only, that is yuan per metric ton unit. And this is based on our feedback from the clients.
Okay, thank you, Aggie. Here's another one. What's the cost of recycling RFP and NMC battery scrap? Okay,
Uh,
so what's your opinion about this question?
yeah, could you please repeat?
Okay, again, what's the cost of recycling RFP and AMC battery scrap?
If we exclude the cost of raw materials, that is the battery scrap, the cost of NMC battery is 10,000 yuan to 12,000 yuan per ton. The cost of LFP battery is around 3,000 yuan per ton. This is because they use different auxiliary materials to recover valued elements.
Okay. Okay, guys, so due to a time limitation, we have to end the Q&A session. So it's been a pleasure to have you join us today, and your presence is very much appreciated. We'll be sending you the presentation slides and recording for this webinar. So please check your email to look out for this. And also, if your question didn't get answered at this webinar, we'll contact with you via email that you're just in with. Okay, so we hope you have found this webinar useful. See you next time. Thank you all. Bye.